Welcome back to ITIL 4 Foundation. When we last left you, we were looking at the qualification scheme, and Chris was walking you through what to expect. But Chris, what can they expect in the exam?
Okay, yeah, because the foundation exam is why we're here, right? You want to get ready for that ITIL 4 foundation exam. Well, the good news is that you get started here. You learn the basics here. Everything else builds upon that, as you can see here in the slide that we talked about, the qualification scheme. But when it comes to the actual exam, the exam is, I don't know how to say this. I've been taking certification exams since 1999. Can you believe that, Scott?
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
I am getting old, I guess. But over time, you'll notice that certification exams pretty much follow I don't want to say a generic vanilla formula, but it's a generic, formula. You're going to have a series of questions. Most, if they're going to be multiple choice type questions, you're going to have anywhere from 40 to 60 questions. Maybe some of the big ones had about 100 questions or something like that. But recently, I just took ISACA's CRISC and CISA exams. And guess what? They were the exact same thing. You get on the computer, it gives you a question, 4 possible answers, click the correct one. Now, I understand. You might have taken some of the CompTIA ones where there's drag and drop, or there's put it in the right order, or drop-down menus that you used to do in the old Microsoft where, you got 3 different commands, pick which one it's going to be to get you to get the right digital certificate assigned. Okay, that's not the case here. As you can see here on the screen, you are going to basically have 40 questions, multiple choice. Now, the multiple choice style can be a little bit different. They're either going to be your standard multiple choice questions, question, 4 possible answers. You're also going to have what we call missing word, or what some people call fill in the blank. And that's where they go in and say, all right, fill in the missing words. A blank is a means of enabling value co-creation, and they go on. Okay, well, a blank, that's a service, right? And then out of the 4 possible answers, one of them will say service. That will be the correct answer. They also have what is known as the list, where you're giving a list of 4, sometimes 5 items, and they'll say which 2 are true about this statement. So it might be something like, which of these 4 are true, or 2 of them are true about the guiding principles. And it'll say a couple of things, and one of them will say, it's true in all circumstances. That's a true statement. That'll be one of them. That'll be number 1. And then maybe the last one, number 4, says something like, there are 7 of them, which I know it wouldn't be that simple, but, all right, there's 7 of them. There's your 2 correct answers. You pick that as your out of the A, B, C, or D, 1 and 4, and you're good to go. And then finally, there is what some people like to call the negative questions. Now, it doesn't mean that it's doesn't have a positive esteem or anything. What it means is that that it's like a no. Which one of these isn't, or which one of these is not something? Make sense, Scott?
Makes sense, Chris. Yeah. Negative questions have positive self-esteem.
They do. See, Scott's learning something new every day. Every day. That's right. Okay, so we have those type of questions. Now, the cool thing is that you get an hour. So those of you who are quick with math, and I just know this, it's about 70 seconds per question. Now, that might seem like, oh my gosh, that's not a lot, but that is 1 minute and 10 seconds per question. Some of the questions you're going to get, you're going to be like, got it. Just like that. And then others you're going to like, is it A or is it C? And then you'll sit and you'll chew on it a little bit. Just do yourself a favor. You do have a timer in the web interface that PeopleCert provides. Just, when you start a question, just take a look up there and see where you're at. And then as you think about it, every once in a while, check that timer, not because of how much time you have left, but how much time are you spending on each question. If you do this, you're going to find that on average, most of my students, and you are one, you're going to take about 20 to 40 minutes to do this. Now, some people go, there's no way I can do it in 20 minutes. I actually had students do this in 20 minutes and get fairly high scores because they've applied themselves, they've studied, they know their stuff. Others average somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes. Now, have I had anyone run out of time? No, in my entire history, I've never had anyone run out of time, but that's mostly because after a while, when the thing kind of starts warning you that it's like, okay, your brain starts going, I'm running out of time. The problem is I don't want you to be the one that runs all the way up to the top. That's when you start panicking. That's when you just start clicking, ABC, I'll do B this time and do C the next time. That's not how you pass the test, okay? So, but you have plenty of time. By the way, for those of you where English is not your primary language, well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to listen to me teach you. But second of all, if it isn't, you can actually let PeopleCert know, and they will supply it in whether it's German or Japanese or any of the languages that are available by PeopleCert. They're more than happy to do that for you. Or if you take the English, they will then give you an additional 15 minutes, but you have to let them know that ahead of time, okay? Promise me you'll do that. I don't want you to run out of time. Also, about the scoring, each question is worth 1 mark, and there are 40 marks possible, or basically points for those of you who don't use the UK's version of it. And so what we do here, Scott, is if you think about it, you have 40, and you need 65% to pass. That means you must get 26 right.
26, that seems easy.
Yeah, it's not too bad. 65% is not that's a pretty liberal passing score, I would say.
Right. So, Chris, is there any award or like anything for having 100% or 90%?
Well, believe it or not, there is with me. If you get a perfect score, the very first person who does this, I've never had anyone do this yet, the first person that sends it to me, by the way, I need your statement of record, and I will check, because I can check. Don't go in there and Photoshop in that you got all 40 right. That doesn't work with me. I will check it, but if you get a perfect score, I am giving out a $50 Amazon gift card to the person who does that.
All right, Chris.
Okay, but I know where you're going with this. If you get a perfect score, do you need a perfect score?
No.
No. 26 right? You're ITIL certified.
That's it. That's all you're shooting for.
Yeah. So don't panic. Don't think like, oh my gosh, I only got 27 right. Okay, good for you. Congratulations, you passed. Unless the only time I could think of this is, you know how you and your buddies used to be when you're like competitive, and you'd be like, I'm going to kill this exam. I'm going to do good. Well, what score did you get? Oh, I got a 88%. Oh yeah, I got a 90. And then, it was kind of more bragging rights. So unless you're doing this for bragging rights, your ITIL certificate just says ITIL 4 Foundation Certified. It doesn't tell you how many you got right and how many you got wrong. It doesn't even in the email saying, wow, can't believe you passed because how did you get that question wrong? It's not that way, okay? You pass or you don't. The nice thing is you can miss 14. Little trick that I've come up with, it's helped me and many of my other students, is you are allowed a piece of paper, because you'll notice one of the things it says is this is supervised. It is a live proctor who watches you through your video cam, your webcam, listens to you through your microphone and speakers on your laptop or your desktop, and they're watching to make sure you're not cheating. And one of the things you'll notice is that it's not open book, which means you can't have any of my study materials, any of your notes, but you can have a blank piece of paper in order to maybe write something down or just kind of keep track of something or maybe look at it a little bit differently. They don't mind you doing that. You do have to show them the blank paper, and you do have to rip it up in front of them when you're done. You have to destroy that. But what I do is I put little check marks next to, me, kind of like a little just hash marks. So if I look at a question and I say, Scott, I'm not too sure I got that one right, I put a little hash mark. But if I get it right, no problem. I just keep going. And what I do is when I'm starting to get to question 30 or 32, I look down and I count how many hash marks I have next to my the questions. And if I realize that, wow, I've only put down 5 or 6 hash marks, I've got this. And it's amazing how just psychologically the rest of the exam just seems to be a breeze because you're like, I've got it. I'm going to be okay. Now, that doesn't mean you ignore the questions and don't answer them. Don't take me wrong. But it does help you understand how you're feeling about where you're at in the exam and how you're doing with the exam is what I'd like to say.
It's a good way of making sure positive reinforcing yourself so that you're not like that negative question.
Yeah, and definitely. So now you might say, okay, but the passing score, got that. It's a closed book, right? I can use that. But what's on the exam, Chris? Oh, well, I can't tell you exact questions, but the nice thing about PeopleCert, originally Axelos, is they tell you exactly what they're going to test you on. So check this out. You've got the 6 questions on guiding principles. You've got 5 questions on the basics of IT service management. You've got 2 questions on the 4 dimensions. You have 1 question on the service value system, 2 questions on the service value chain, and then this is where I like to say the meat and potatoes are, or lots of vegetables if you're not a meat eater. But 7 questions are then going to be on what we call the high level 15 practices, which is basically what's the purpose of the practice and maybe a definition. And that is, we would say, brute force memorization. Just pick it out of a lineup. But there are, notice, 17 questions that are called what I call deep dive. They don't call that. They just say you need to understand them. Now, notice on the slide, we've got these initials here, Scott. BL1 and BL2. Any idea what those stand for?
No.
And good news is you will not be asked that question either on the exam. But what it is it's in learning and instructional design theory, there is, of course, what is known as Bloom's level of assessment. And essentially what you do is at Bloom's level 1, it's can you pick something out of a lineup? It's brute force memorization, right? What's the definition of a service? Well, it's a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customers want to achieve without the customers having to manage specific costs and risks. I know, easy for me to say, right? I just been teaching this for just a little while. But here's the thing. That's something that you can probably do and you memorize it, right? That's Bloom's level 1. You pick it out of the lineup. Whereas a Bloom's level 2 or BL2 is where they might paraphrase the question or even the answer. So you need to know more the concept or conceptually what it is you're being asked.
Got it. All right. So we can see, what's there, five Blooms?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's
so
5. Yeah,
we're on the lower tier here.
Yeah,
lower tier.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. 4 or 5 is literally it would be like now build an infrastructure.
Yeah.
Using ITIL.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's on the next exam, right?
that's our next module, right?
Next module. Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. Trust me, it's not. All right, Chris. So we understand the exam. We understand where we're going. Where are we going next?
Well, the good news is that we're going to be talking actually about the content itself. So we're going to get into, notice you get 5 questions on the IT service management or key service concepts. We're going to start on that one in the next video.
All right, so I can't wait to learn more about the key service concepts, and we'll see you in the next video.